There's nothing quite like corporate small talk to make you question the value of your own existence. I've spent 11 years nodding through meetings where synergy is considered a personality trait. But hey, it paid for the house, the private school for the kids, and my wife's skincare routine that costs more than my car insurance. Her name's Danielle. Blonde, charming, laughs like she's auditioning for a wine commercial. We've been married 15 years, 2 kids, Katie, 16, quick-witted with a taste for petty justice, and Max, 9, sweet and sensitive with a habit of asking painfully honest questions at the worst times. Danielle used to be ambivalent about my job. Couldn't tell you who my VP was, didn't care which vendor just signed a $1 million contract. But a few months ago, she suddenly got interested. "Is that Carl? The guy who runs operations?" she asked one night while scrolling through my work Slack on my phone. With permission, technically, since she was helping me find a flight confirmation. "Yeah," I said, not thinking anything of it. She grinned. "He's hot." I laughed. That's the kind of joke we make. Or made, anyway. Then she started asking questions. Innocent ones, at first. "Who got laid off last quarter? Do you think your boss likes you? Is HR still run by that woman with the bob haircut?" It was weird, but I chalked it up to curiosity. Danielle's always been nosy. Reality TV kind of nosy. Office gossip is just Real Housewives with dental benefits, right? Then came the mug. Let me be clear, I don't drink coffee. Never have. But my boss, Rick drinks coffee like it's going out of style. We share an office kitchen on the 21st floor. There's a single blue and silver company mug we both use. It's a running joke. He calls it the CEO chalice. I call it the reason I sanitize everything. So when I came in on a Monday morning and saw that mug sitting on my desk, not Rick's, with a perfect red lipstick mark on the rim, well, that was the moment something broke. Danielle doesn't wear red lipstick. She wears taupe or nude rose, or whatever shade Sephora sells for $30 that looks identical to her natural lips. Except on Saturdays, date nights. That's when she pulls out the fire engine red and calls it fun. I stared at that mug like it was bleeding. I picked it up with a tissue. Smelled it. Faint perfume. Jasmine and vanilla. Danielle's signature. Rick wasn't in yet. Neither was the cleaning crew. The cameras in our kitchenette don't work. They've been broken since 2021. I checked my desk drawers. My stapler was off-center. The drawer with my spare phone charger was open. My backup key card was gone. I felt like a ghost in my own life. When Rick arrived, casual, confident, latte in hand, he gave me a nod. "Morning, Nate. Big week, huh?" "Yeah," I said. "Massive." He didn't mention the mug. Neither did I. I went home that night and didn't speak during dinner. Danielle noticed. "You okay?" she asked, pouring herself a glass of Pinot Noir. "Long day," I said. "Max told me about his spelling test." Katie rolled her eyes and complained about group projects. Danielle smiled through it all. I studied her face the whole time. After the kids went to bed, I went to the garage, opened my laptop, and started making a plan. Not to confront. To observe. To document. Because the only thing worse than getting stabbed in the back is watching your own wife hand the knife to your boss. And I wasn't going to let either of them see me bleed. Corporate life teaches you to suppress things. Opinions. Yawns. Rage. You get good at smiling through betrayal if you want the pension. But this was personal. After I found that lipstick-smeared mug on my desk, I didn't storm home and demand answers. That's what people expect. I've spent too long under fluorescent lighting to give anyone what they expect. No, I went full spreadsheet. Step 1, observe. Step 2, record. Step 3, detonate. I wasn't sure what was worse, the lipstick mark itself or the smugness it implied. Not just the affair, but the ease of it. Using my space, my desk, my mug. The level of audacity would be almost impressive if it didn't make me want to bleach my office chair. By Thursday, I had a rhythm. Every morning, photograph the mug if it moved. Every afternoon, scan Rick's calendar. If he blocked a strategic alignment lunch, I noted it. Every evening, check Danielle's location history. She didn't know her iPad synced automatically to her Google account. Turns out yoga class was now being held at Palmview Towers, also known as my building. I played dumb. That part was easy. Most men are handed a blindfold and a smile with their marriage license. But I didn't need to see everything. I just needed to wait. Because something changed after that Monday. Danielle became nicer. Suspiciously so. She started packing my lunches. "I know you get busy. she'd say with that chipper step-forward tone. The first one included a handwritten note. You're amazing. Don't let anyone make you feel small. I nearly choked on the irony. She also started dressing differently. Nothing dramatic, just more polish. Silk blouses. Perfect hair. New perfume. And not for me. I know her date night perfume. This was something lighter. Sharper. Something that said, notice me, but don't ask why. The final straw came the following Wednesday. I got called into a last-minute collaborative planning session. HR, Rick, and me. Supposed to be about team morale. Translation, someone upstairs wanted to play pretend. We walked in. Rick led. HR sat down with a polite smile. I followed last. On the conference room table were 3 glasses of water and the mug. The mug. Rick picked it up without hesitation and took a sip. Same lipstick mark. Still faint. Still red. I don't know if he didn't notice, didn't care, or assumed I wouldn't. But something in me shifted. I excused myself halfway through the meeting. Claimed food poisoning. Rick chuckled, said, hope it's not that chicken from yesterday. I smiled as I walked out. Back at my desk, I opened a folder titled Project Frostbite. Inside were 74 photos. 3 PDFs of Danielle's location pings. 11 screenshots of Slack conversations between Rick and Dana W. Her old work alias. I knew it was her. Nobody else asked about my kids' art fair. I wasn't just being paranoid. I was building a case. And I had one last play to set up. That night, I came home early. Danielle was in the kitchen, humming, pouring herself a second glass of red. You're home early, she said. Yeah. HR meeting ended fast. She turned, smiled. All good. Great, actually. They asked me to host this year's end-of-year awards gala. Her eyes lit up. Really? Yep. I sat at the counter. It's a big deal. Whole company. Fancy venue. I get to write the script, pick the presenters, everything. That's amazing, babe. She leaned over and kissed my cheek. I'm proud of you. I smiled back. Want to help with the guest list? I asked. She lit up. Absolutely. I handed her a notepad and a pen. We made a whole evening of it. Wine. Music. Laughter. Like old times. Except this time, I was laughing at her, not with her. She even asked, halfway through, should I get a new dress for it? I looked her dead in the eye and said, definitely. This is going to be a night to remember. She blushed. Like a teenager. I almost felt bad. Almost. The next few weeks were a blur of planning, and not just for the gala. While Danielle picked flower arrangements and tried on dresses in front of me like we were still in love, I was in meetings with legal. You see, Rick had a second dirty secret. One he didn't share with Danielle. Let's rewind a bit. About 6 months ago, a consulting expense started showing up in our quarterly vendor reports. $42,000 paid to a shell company named Onyx Solutions. No website. No portfolio. No staff. I'd flagged it to Rick back then. He brushed it off. Legacy vendor. Don't worry about it. So I didn't. Until now. Now, I dug deeper. Turns out, Onyx Solutions was registered under an alias tied to Rick's brother-in-law. No real business. Just a funnel. Payroll records showed consulting hours billed for projects that didn't exist. I printed it all. Attached it to my resignation letter. Filed a copy to the board. Scheduled a delivery time, 9:15 p.m., during the gala, right after the closing remarks. Then I booked a photographer. Gala night arrived like thunder. The venue was immaculate. All glass walls and polished chrome. Danielle wore a stunning black dress with a slit-up one leg and red heels I'd never seen before. She looked like sin dipped in Chanel. Katie and Max were there, too. Danielle insisted. Let them see what you've built, she said. Katie rolled her eyes, but dressed up anyway. Max wore a bow tie and clung to my leg most of the night. Rick arrived fashionably late. Tuxedo. Tan. Too confident. Danielle's eyes sparkled when he walked in. I watched their hug. Timed the seconds. 3, 4, 5. Not how coworkers hug. Dinner passed. Awards were given. Speeches were made. Then I took the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, I began, smiling. Tonight is about celebrating excellence, integrity, and partnership. Scattered applause. I've had the honor of working alongside many incredible people, but one has stood out. Someone whose dedication and hands-on leadership redefined what it means to collaborate. Danielle beamed in the front row. Rick sipped his champagne. And so, it is my pleasure to present a new title. A custom role. A position truly earned. I turned to the screen. The slideshow began. The first photo, Danielle at our office kitchenette. Mug in hand. Red lipstick. The next, GPS ping. Palmview Towers, 21st floor, Tuesdays at 1:15 p.m. Then, a message from Rick to Dana W. Your lipstick's still on my mug. Naughty. Silence. The final slide, Danielle and Rick in a conference room. Blinds half closed. Her heels off. Gasps. Shuffling. A wine glass shattered somewhere. I pulled a small trophy from behind the podium. Gold. Custom engraved. Executive Mistress, 2025. I walked it down the steps and handed it to Danielle. She didn't take it. Just stared. Face white. I leaned in. You earned it. Behind me, Katie clapped once. Loud. On purpose. Max started to cry. Rick stood up, shouting, This is a joke. You're insane. I turned back to the audience. Oh, and before I forget, I pulled the USB from my pocket, held it up. This drive contains documentation of a $168,000 internal fraud scheme, including falsified vendor payouts. Already sent to the board. Effective immediately, I resigned. Security appeared at the side doors. Not mine, corporates. Someone upstairs had pulled the cord faster than I thought. Rick was escorted out within 5 minutes. Danielle stayed frozen in her seat, clutching the trophy. I walked off stage and into the parking lot with Katie and Max. No one stopped me. Katie whispered, That was savage. I smiled. You have no idea. The thing about revenge? People think it ends the moment the curtain drops. That once you pull the pin on the grenade, watch the room implode, and stroll away like an action hero, it's over. It's not. It just gets quieter. The Monday after the gala, I woke up at 6:45, made myself a real breakfast for the first time in months, and sat on the back porch with a mug of black coffee. My mug, thank you very much, while the sun came up over our overpriced suburban skyline. Danielle's car was still in the garage. She hadn't left the bedroom since the night I handed her the Executive Mistress trophy. It now sat in the kitchen like a cursed idol no one wanted to touch. Katie came downstairs in her hoodie, earbuds in, grabbed a protein bar, and paused when she saw me. Nice coffee mug, she said, smirking. Brand loyalty, I replied, sipping. She leaned on the counter. So what happens now? Now. Great question. Now I start over. She nodded like that made sense. Max wants to know if he still has to go to school. Unfortunately, yes, I said. The downfall of two morally bankrupt adults does not exempt you from algebra. She laughed, then grabbed her backpack and headed for the bus stop. Danielle came downstairs 20 minutes later, looking like she'd aged 5 years. No makeup, hair in a frizzy ponytail. Her robe hung off her shoulders like it no longer fit her life. She didn't look at me, just went straight for the fridge. Morning, I said, casual. No response. You should eat something, I added. Katie and I made it through the shame spiral. You're up. She turned. Her eyes were puffy. I can't believe you did that. You think I can believe what you did? Her lips twitched. She didn't have the energy for a fight, which was honestly disappointing. It was a mistake, she muttered. No, I said calmly. A mistake is sending a text to the wrong person. You had a months-long affair with my boss, in my office, during my work hours, while lying to my face and letting me pay for your Pilates addiction. That's not a mistake. That's character. She dropped into a chair at the kitchen table. I lost everything. I shrugged. You still have the house. She looked up sharply. For now, I added. And that was true, sort of. I hadn't filed anything yet. I was waiting. Not out of mercy, but precision. Let me explain. The gala fallout hit faster than even I expected. Rick was placed on indefinite leave the following morning. Official statement from HR, pending investigation into conduct and vendor compliance. Unofficially, he was radioactive. Board meetings started happening without him. Internal audits were launched. Rumor had it 2 VPs resigned quietly within the week. I'd sent the USB drive to 3 different board members, just in case anyone got cute. By Thursday, Rick's parking pass was deactivated. And me? I was a ghost. I didn't go in. Didn't call. Didn't answer the 5 emails marked urgent from legal. I'd resigned in front of 300 people. The story was already on LinkedIn, thanks to some junior associate who leaked a blurry video of the trophy moment with the caption. He really gave her a trophy that said, Executive Mistress. Dead. 23,000 likes. 1,000 comments. I had job offers by Friday. I didn't respond to any of them. Not yet. Danielle, meanwhile, was spiraling. Every day she'd shuffle around the house like a sitcom wife with the laugh track turned off. She tried to talk to Katie once. "Sweetie, can we just?" Katie held up a hand like a traffic cop. "Don't." Danielle flinched. "I'm still your mother." Katie stared at her. "That's biology, not behavior," and walked away. Max was trickier. He didn't understand betrayal in the adult sense, but he felt it. He kept asking if Rick was still my boss. I told him no. Then he asked if Mom still had a job. "She never did," I said. That was kind of the problem. He didn't get it. Didn't matter. He was 9. All I needed was to make him feel safe again. I started picking him up from school myself. We'd get ice cream. Talk about Pokemon. I bought him a new telescope after he said he wanted to see what the moon looks like when it's not sad. That one hit me. That Sunday, Danielle asked if we could talk. "Just us," she said. "No kids." We sat outside, facing the backyard. The sun was setting. She was holding a glass of wine she hadn't touched. "I want to fix this," she said. I raised an eyebrow. "Fix what?" "Our marriage." I actually laughed. It surprised both of us. "You think I embarrassed you because I want to stay married? You humiliated me in front of everyone." "Exactly." She looked down. "I just thought, maybe we could rebuild. For the kids." "Oh, now you care about the kids." "I've always cared." "No," I said, calm as a glacier. "You cared about being wanted. You cared about having leverage. You cared about getting attention. But you didn't care about the damage." She blinked rapidly. I stood up. "This isn't a negotiation, Danielle. This is a countdown." She watched me walk away. The next morning, she tried to be domestic. Pancakes, syrup, orange juice with pulp, which no one in the house drinks. She asked Katie if she wanted to help make lunches. Katie muttered, "I'm not your coworker," and walked out. Danielle's face fell. Later that day, I filed for divorce. She got served at 2:17 p.m. I know the exact time because she texted me 5 minutes later. "Are you serious? After everything?" I didn't respond. An hour later, she called. I didn't pick up. At 5:03 p.m., Katie burst into my office. "She's crying in the bathroom." "So?" Katie looked uncomfortable. "She's still my mom. She made her choices." "I know. But..." I stood, walked to the bathroom, knocked. Silence. I opened the door. Danielle sat on the edge of the tub, holding the divorce papers like they were on fire. "I can't afford a lawyer," she said, voice low. "I already hired one for you." She looked up, startled. "Pro bono. Mutual friend. Told him you'd need one." She stared. "Why would you?" "Because I'm not like you," I said. "I don't destroy people for fun. I just make sure they don't get to do it twice." She wiped her eyes. "What happens to the house?" "I keep it. You get the savings account and 3 months to move out." "And the kids?" I paused. "Katie wants to stay. Max will talk." She nodded. "So that's it." "That's it." The next week was calm. Too calm. Danielle stopped crying. Stopped cooking. Stopped talking. She was the ghost now. I was the one living. Katie started laughing again. Max asked if we could go to the zoo. I said yes. I interviewed for a new job. Better salary. Remote friendly. No bosses named Rick. Danielle left on a Wednesday. No note. No dramatic exit. Just gone. She left the trophy on the kitchen table. I didn't throw it away. I put it in the garage, on a shelf above the breaker box. As a reminder, not of the betrayal, but of the day I took the knife out of my back and handed it right back. Blade first. It's funny what the dust reveals once the storm passes. The week after Danielle moved out, I stood in the living room, holding a dusty photo of us from a cruise in 2014, back when I still wore cargo shorts without shame, and she still looked at me like I was the whole ocean. The photo was cracked. Or maybe that was just how I saw it now. I didn't cry. That part of me was gone. It had packed its bag sometime between the lipstick mug and the slideshow reveal. Katie walked in mid-stare. "You keeping that?" she asked, nodding toward the picture. "Thinking about it," I said. "Might toss it. Might let Max draw devil horns on her and frame it." She smirked. "Let me know. I've got Sharpies." We were okay, Katie and I. Closer, in a way. She'd seen her mom for who she really was, and I think that hit her harder than she let on. But she didn't pull away from me. If anything, she leaned in. Max was the one I worried about. He missed her. Of course he did. Kids don't care about betrayal. They care about pancakes and bedtime songs and that soft, scripted, "I love you" they hear before lights out. So I kept the routine steady. School drop-offs. Soccer practice. Friday night movies. I didn't badmouth Danielle, not in front of him. Katie made up for that, whispering things like traitor Barbie under her breath every time his bedtime story included a mom character. She was protective, angry in her own teenage way. It helped me not be angry for both of us. But then came the email. It arrived on a Thursday. Subject line, from Rick. I almost laughed. Men had some nerve. I opened it. Nate, you win. HR finalized the termination this morning. Board sided with legal. They needed a fall guy. I was easy. Just wanted to say, I didn't expect you to go nuclear. Thought we were friends once. Rick. No apology. Just surprise. Like he genuinely believed I'd let him sleep with my wife and hand him a farewell bag of organic granola bars. I didn't reply, but I printed the email and slid it into a folder I'd started keeping, artifacts of arrogance. Inside were screenshots, GPS maps, and that blurry photo of Danielle laughing outside our building in her red heels. Closure, curated. That night, I let Katie read it. She raised an eyebrow. He thought you'd be chill? Guess he thought my balls came pre-neutered. She snorted. Don't repeat that. I added. No promises. Max came in during our laughter, holding his tablet. Mom wants to FaceTime. Katie froze. I nodded. Okay, take it in your room. He hesitated. Can you come with me? That hurt, but I kept my face calm. Sure, bud. We went upstairs, sat on his beanbag chair, and tapped the screen. Danielle's face appeared. She looked different, like someone who finally realized the world didn't orbit her. Her hair was pulled back. No makeup. She wore a hoodie, probably one of mine she hadn't returned. Hey, sweetheart, she said to Max, eyes lighting up. Hi, Mommy. They talked. About school, his new cleats, a field trip coming up. She kept glancing at me, but I didn't engage. I was just set dressing. Then she said something that twisted the knife. I miss you so much, baby. Maybe Daddy will let you come stay with me for a little while. Max looked at me, hopeful. Can I, Dad? I met her eyes through the screen. Let's talk about that later, okay? Danielle's smile tightened. Of course, she said sweetly. We'll work it out. We ended the call 10 minutes later. Max hugged me before bed, but I could feel it, a little less tight, a little more confused. After he fell asleep, I went downstairs and poured a drink. Katie joined me. She's trying to get him back, she said. Emotionally. Yeah, I replied. She doesn't get to do that. I know. Katie stared into her glass of juice. What if he wants to go? I looked at her. Then I'll let him. Her head snapped up. Seriously? I nodded. I'm not going to become the thing I hate. If he needs to learn for himself, I'll let him, within reason. But I'll be right here when the fantasy pops. Katie frowned. But what if she messes him up? I smiled, but there was no humor in it. She already did. Danielle emailed me the next morning. Hey, I want to discuss custody again. Not a battle, just options. Max asked if he could spend weekends with me. I think it'd help him transition. Let's talk. Coffee. Neutral ground. D. I read it twice. Then I replied. We talk on the record or not at all. I'll schedule mediation. I CC'd both lawyers. She didn't reply. But 2 days later, she sent Max a care package, snacks, a sweater, a framed photo of them at the zoo. No letter. Just a sticky note that said, always my little guy. Katie rolled her eyes. She's love-bombing him. I nodded. She's got nothing else. Mediation day arrived the next Friday. We sat in a beige room that smelled like printer ink and old perfume. Our lawyers flanked us like exhausted bodyguards. Danielle wore a blouse I hadn't seen before. Professional. Pale blue. She looked like a woman preparing to beg without begging. We sat. The mediator cleared his throat. We're here to discuss temporary visitation options, as requested by Ms. Wells. Danielle launched into a soft monologue. I just want to be part of their lives. I made mistakes, but they're my kids. I miss them. I believe I've shown stability since leaving. I'm not asking for 50/50ths. Just weekends. Maybe one weeknight dinner. I let her speak. Then I opened my folder. Laid out 5 pages of screenshots. Each one, Max's confused texts. Katie's summaries of Danielle's guilt tripping. The FaceTime moment. Then the kicker, a receipt. From a bar. Dated 3 nights ago. 2 cocktails. Paid in cash. At the same hotel where she and Rick used to meet. I slid it forward. Danielle's face drained. You're spying on me? No. You're just predictable. The mediator blinked. Ms. Wells, can you explain this? She didn't. Couldn't. The session ended 20 minutes later. No changes. No new privileges. Katie high-fived me in the parking lot. Courtroom dad is my favorite dad. I laughed. Don't get used to him. But something changed that week. Max pulled back. Didn't want to talk at dinner. Spent more time in his room. When I asked if everything was okay, he said, I just miss mommy. I told him that was okay. But I didn't say more. He had to come to it on his own. That Saturday, I found him in the garage, holding the trophy. The one from the party, he said. Yeah. He looked at it. Was this a joke? No, I said. It was the truth. Dressed up like a joke. He didn't say anything. Just nodded and walked away. Later that night, he crawled into my bed. I don't want to live with mommy. Okay. Even if she's nicer. Okay. Because nice isn't always real. I put my arm around him. You're growing up too fast, Max. He sniffed. I don't want to be dumb like her. You're not, I whispered. You're the smartest one here. And in that moment, lying in the dark, holding my son, I didn't feel victorious. I felt free. You ever hear the silence after a storm? It's not peace. It's something heavier. Like the air itself is holding its breath, waiting to see what crawls out of the wreckage. That's where we were. Danielle was gone from the house. Rick was gone from the company. My resignation had gone viral enough that some B-list leadership podcast actually emailed to ask if I'd share my journey. I didn't respond, mostly because I knew they wanted the juicy version and not the part where I spent 3 hours on hold with insurance trying to change the name on the home policy. Katie was thriving. I don't use that word lightly. She'd weaponized sarcasm into a coping mechanism so sharp, I started wondering if I needed to hide the steak knives. She got voted editor of the school paper, started dating a theater kid with a man bun and the emotional depth of a cereal box, and wore her pain like armor. Fashionable, but unapproachable. Max, though, he was different. Quieter. Too compliant. He'd stopped asking about Danielle, which at first felt like relief, but started to feel like absence. You know how some kids rebel and some retreat? Max had chosen the latter. He folded into himself like he didn't want to take up space. I tried to reach him, asked questions, took him to parks, signed him up for a Lego robotics club, but his light dimmed in a way I couldn't fix. That's when I got the letter. Not a text, not an email, a handwritten envelope with my name in cursive, Danielle's writing, unmistakable. Inside, a folded sheet of lined notebook paper. No wax seal, no grand speech. Just this. Nate, I'm done trying to win. I want peace. For the kids. For all of us. Please meet me at the park this Sunday. No lawyers. No drama. Just parents. D. I stared at it for a full minute. Then I folded it and slid it under a paperweight shaped like a miniature guillotine. Corporate gift. Fitting. I didn't want to meet her, but I needed to know where her head was. And more importantly, what she thought she had left to bargain with. Sunday came. Cloudy. Windy. One of those afternoons where you can't tell if it's going to rain or just ruin your mood. The park was almost empty. A few joggers. A mom with twins. A teenager vaping under the slide like it was a sacred ritual. Danielle sat at the far end of a bench by the pond. No makeup. Jeans. Hoodie. She looked like the version of herself I used to know. Or maybe the version she wanted me to remember. I sat beside her. No greeting. She broke the silence first. I'm not here to manipulate. First time for everything, I said flatly. She nodded. Took it. I just want to talk about Max. That got my attention. What about him? He needs balance. I looked at her. Balance is a yoga pose, Danielle. Not a custody plan. She exhaled, frustrated. I'm serious. He's not okay. He's shutting down. I know. I live with him. Then you know he needs more than just you. Oh, right. Because you've been such a beacon of emotional stability lately. She looked at me, eyes hard. I made mistakes. Stop calling them that. Mistakes are when you forget milk. You had a full-on relationship with my boss, lied to my face, used our house like a halfway hotel, and involved our children in the cover-up. That's not a mistake. That's a resume. Silence. A duck quacked nearby, oblivious to our mess. She lowered her voice. I was lonely, Nate. So you screwed Rick? No. I don't. Just don't. She swallowed. I'm not proud of what I did, but I'm still their mother. You're not acting like it. I want supervised weekends. That's it. No overnights. No drama. Just afternoons. I'll even do them at your house if that's what it takes. That threw me. She wasn't defensive. Not this time. No performance. No crocodile tears. Just tired. I leaned back. And Max asked for this. She paused. No. I did. There it was. The real motive. You feel guilty, I said. You want to clean it up so you can sleep. I want to be a part of their lives. You want to be forgiven. She didn't answer. I stood. I'll think about it. That's all I'm promising. And I walked away. Back home, I told Katie. She scoffed. Yeah, right. So she can start fresh while Max forgets what she did. She didn't ask for forgiveness, I said. She didn't have to. I raised my hands. I'm not making any decisions yet. You better not. Would you ever want to see her again? Katie stared at me like I'd asked if she wanted to adopt a raccoon. She'd have to apologize to me, not you. I'm not the one she cheated on, but I'm the one who got lied to. I nodded. That made sense. Later that night, I asked Max, how would you feel if you saw Mom for a few hours on the weekend? Just hanging out. No sleepovers. He shrugged. Would you be there? I could be. Then okay. That was it. No drama. No hesitation. Just a kid trying to keep both parents within orbit. The first visit happened on a Saturday. Danielle came to the house. She brought board games. Max picked Uno. They sat in the living room while I did fake dishes in the kitchen, and Katie barricaded herself in her room. It was weird. Not tense. Just artificial. Danielle laughed too hard. Max tried to act normal. But every smile felt like it had a question mark at the end. After 2 hours, she left. Hugged him. Looked at me, searching for approval. I gave her nothing. The second visit was easier. Max talked more. Danielle brought snacks. Katie emerged for exactly 12 seconds to grab a soda and glare at her like she was a debt collector. The third visit changed everything. Max waited until Danielle was gone, then came into my office. Dad, yeah. Mom says she might move back. My stomach clenched. What do you mean? She said, maybe one day we'll all be together again, like before. I stared at him. What did you say? I told her you don't want that. Smart kid. I knelt beside him. You're right. I don't. And we won't. But if she ever says stuff like that again, you tell me. Okay. Okay. He hugged me. Not because he was sad. Because he was scared. I called Danielle that night. Are you seriously trying to reinsert yourself into my life under the guise of parenting? Her voice was defensive. I was just trying to give him hope. Hope for what? That his parents will lie to each other again, but with better lighting? He asked if we'd ever live together again. Then you say no? Period. Silence. I continued. You will not use emotional fog to gaslight a child into believing fantasy is fact. Not while I'm alive. She didn't respond. You keep this up, I'll pull supervised visits. I'll go back to court. You'll get one Zoom call a week and a Christmas card if you behave. I got it, she said quietly. Good. And I hung up. After that, things got better. For real, this time. Danielle backed off. Stuck to the schedule. No more vague promises or guilt-flavored nostalgia. Just board games and awkward laughter, and Max slowly learning how to live with two parents who didn't pretend. Katie stopped asking when the visits would end. I think she saw that I had it under control. Or maybe she just stopped caring. That's how teenagers heal, blunt force detachment. I took a new job. Fully remote. Better pay. Boss who's never met Danielle. Big win. We redecorated the house. New paint, new curtains, new energy. I let the kids each choose a ridiculous item. Katie picked a neon wall sign that says lies and fries for the kitchen. Max picked a hammock for the hallway. I didn't question either. We made a new version of normal. One without whispered phone calls or lipstick on mugs. One where the scars didn't vanish, but at least we weren't letting them bleed. It's been 6 months since the gala. 6 months since I handed my wife a trophy that will probably haunt her into her next relationship. 6 months since I watched my boss get escorted out of his own empire, red-faced and shocked that betrayal had a boomerang effect. And somehow, life didn't just continue, it recalibrated. You'd be surprised how normal things can get after nuclear fallout. It's not that the air's clean again. It just stops stinging when you breathe. The kids adjusted. Katie, ever the sniper in eyeliner, fully leaned into her teenage anti-hero arc. She's applying to colleges now, wants to study psychology or journalism, maybe both. She says she wants to write about liars. I told her she already lived through a PhD dissertation. Max. He started smiling again. Real ones. They're small, like cautious animals, but they're there. He still sees Danielle, but it's scheduled now, structured. Me present. Boundaries respected. And Danielle, to her credit, stuck to the terms. No more vague, maybe one day promises. No more emotional candy disguised as maternal affection. She stopped calling herself Mommy. Max noticed. So did I? Then came the email from HR. Not my old HR. New job. New company. New city. They wanted me to keynote the company's leadership summit. The theme? Integrity in crisis. Lessons from unlikely leaders. I almost fell out of my chair laughing. I emailed back. Do you want the viral story or the real one? They replied within 15 minutes. Both. So I said yes. 3 weeks later, I stood in front of 400 executives in a hotel ballroom lit like an awards show and gave the most honest speech of my life. No slides. No jargon. Just me, a microphone, and the story of how I lost my wife, my job, my faith in people, and gained something better. Clarity. I told them about the mug, the lipstick, the gala, the trophy. I left out the names, but I gave them the beats. And then I ended with this. Revenge isn't justice. It's theater. But sometimes, theater is the only way to make people see the truth they've been hiding from. So if you ever find yourself staring at betrayal, ask yourself, do I want to be right? Or do I want to be unforgettable? Standing ovation. 2 people cried. 3 job offers before I even left the room. When I got home that night, the kids were in the living room. Katie was curled up with her laptop, editing a podcast she started. It's about teen mental health and why adults ruin everything. Max was asleep on the couch, his head resting on a pile of stuffed animals he refuses to admit he still likes. Danielle was not there. She hadn't been for weeks. Her visits shifted to a neutral location: parks, cafes, indoor jungle gyms. Max stopped asking if she could come over. He understood now. Home is not a place you're allowed into. It's a place you help build. And she hadn't built it. The next morning, something weird happened. Danielle called me. Not to beg. Not to bargain. To confess. I'm moving, she said, voice low. I was in the driveway, watering the scraggly potted ferns Katie insisted we adopt last spring. Where to? Arizona. Got a job offer. Admin work. It's small, but it's a start. I didn't say anything. I'm not asking permission. Just telling you. In case Max asks. Does he know yet? Not yet. I'm going to tell him today. She hesitated. I'm not trying to disappear. I'll do video calls. Maybe come visit if it's okay. I still didn't say anything. Nate, she said. You don't have to hate me forever. I looked at the flowers. Dead. Overwatered, ironically. I don't hate you, I said finally. I just don't believe you anymore. That's worse. She exhaled. Fair. I'll explain it to Max if you can't. No. I'll do it. I owe him that. And for the first time since the whole mess started, she sounded like she meant it. Max took it hard. Not dramatic hard. Not tears and tantrums. Worse. He just got quiet again. Is she leaving forever? He asked. No, I said. She's just not here anymore. He nodded like he understood, but I could see it in his eyes. The slow rebuild of trust he'd started paused. Not ruined. Just paused. That night, he asked if he could sleep in my bed. I let him. At 2:13 a.m., I woke up to find him staring at the ceiling. She said she loved me. She does. But she's still leaving. Yeah. So that means love doesn't stop people. No, I whispered. It just makes them hurt less when they do. He didn't respond. Eventually, he slept. A month later, Danielle was gone. Arizona. New job. New life. Katie didn't say goodbye. Didn't text. Nothing. Max wrote her a card. She sent back a short letter and a Starbucks gift card. I couldn't tell if that was touching or tragic. Maybe both. The house was finally mine again. Not legally. Emotionally. We got rid of the couch. Too many memories. Katie picked out a new one. Bold. Ugly. Comfortable. Max painted his bedroom wall blue. I framed the executive Mistress trophy and put it in the attic. Not out of spite. Out of preservation. Someday, when Max is older and Katie's telling this story over drinks to her college friends, I want them to remember what survival looked like. Not sad. Not broken. Strategic. Last week, I got an email. From Rick. I hadn't heard from him since the gala. Figured he went to Mexico or started a fake guru podcast. Subject line, congratulations. I opened it. Saw your keynote. Impressive. Still think you overreacted, but I underestimated you. You win. R. No apology. Just ego in lowercase letters. I hit delete. Then went downstairs to help Max with his science project. He was building a volcano. We poured in the baking soda. Added red food coloring. He counted down like it was mission control. 3, 2, 1. The volcano erupted. And we laughed. Because sometimes the only way to make things better is to let them blow up and then start over on your own terms. The end. Subscribe to the channel